Meeting to come to order. I want to welcome everybody. Ooh, that's a rough looking crew here, Darryl. Anyhow, we welcome everybody to this annual meeting, and we'll try to make it as brief and as we can. Get y'all on your way. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jones.
Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here. Thank you. That was on behalf of Chairman Barr and our entire board here. I want to welcome you again this year due to COVID. This is an abbreviated meeting. Like I said last year, maybe next year we can be back with the door prizes and refreshments and meet with each other and more members. But I do want to let everyone know we will be drawing for the cash prizes at the end of the program. The two $50 prizes, the two $100, and a $200 prize and a $500 cash prize. Want to introduce our board. Met Chairman Barr. Our Vice President is Mr. Irvin Eatman, representing District 2. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mr. Peter Mike Reynolds on District 3. Ms. Audra Browder, District 1. Mr. Clyde Fields, District 4. Mr. Townsend Kaiser, District 5. Mr. Ronnie Hall, District 6. Mr. Otis Russell, District 8, and Dr. John E. Lanier, District 9. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to our project attorney, Mr. Woody Denon, who will go over the quorum requirements and so forth. Woody.
Thank you, Darryl. I wanted to start off by saying it's something when Terry Barr calls y'all a rough-looking crew. That's pot calling the kettle. So, thank y'all for being with it. And as Terry said and Darryl said, it's the pandemic and these challenging times have changed a lot of stuff here, and a lot of things that we used to enjoy doing we're not able to do, not able to socially interact or anything. And so I think last meeting we also said that hopefully this year we would be back to whatever normal is going to be. But we're still not there yet, and we can just hope and pray that we'll get there by next meeting anyway. As the bylaws provide that for an annual meeting you have to have a quorum, and the definition of a quorum is that you set a specific date and calculate total the number of members who are in good standing. And then for this meeting to be a valid meeting and have a quorum, you got to have 5% of those members in good standing. And the date was back in September. At that time, of the 18,397 members, there were 15,007 in good standing, and requires a 5%, which means that 751 people would have to be either here in person or have submitted ballots, and the Jackson Thornton, the accounting firm, the independent accounting firm that's doing the calculation and handling all of the voting, it's not being done by Black Warrior. They have confirmed that we definitely have a quorum, obviously not here in person, but by the people that have all voted by mail. And so the meeting is an official meeting with a quorum, and we're going to have some go through the procedures dealing with last year's minutes, and then have some reports and everything. At the end of the meeting, we'll have a question and answer session. I think we've got couple of members here, may have some more, and we'll address that at that time. I think I've got the 2020 annual minutes. The meeting, which we held last November 6th, I guess I will proceed with the reading. All right, Trustee Reynolds has made a motion to waive the reading of the minutes, which is provided by Robert's Rules of Order and by the bylaws, so that there's a motion as a second. Second by Mr. Hall, so that motion and second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? That being true, we'll jump right over that. The next would, which y'all probably would have been bored by it anyway, because it's about 5 or 6 pages long, so it probably put everybody to sleep. Now I'll pass the gavel or the speaker back to Maggie Jones.
Thank you, Woody. And by the way, there are copies of the minutes of last year's meeting on the table out front if anybody would like a copy. Today's meeting, like I said, they're tallying the votes now, and they'll give a report on that toward the end, right before the cash drawing. And I'm going to give a short report, and then we'll call on our professional consultants. Mr. Lance Junkin is here he does our rate work, and give some examples of how we compare with other utilities. Mr. Woody Trimble with Jackson Thornton, who performs our annual audit every year, independent audit, will be here. And so moving on, most everybody here knows me. I've been finishing my 38th year, and the last 13 as manager. And as we have the same aims and goals as we did in 1939, and that's to provide safe, reliable, and economical energy to our 12 West Alabama counties. The membership is what we want to take care of, and the way we do that is with these guys like up here. This is our part of our management team here. I asked them to come this year. We've got some new faces. Wanted our board to see them, and I don't do anything but give them the ability and the equipment that they need to get the job done and take care of the membership. Like I said, in the last year and 3 quarters has been quite a challenge with COVID. We've had our struggles, we've had our contacts, we've had our sicknesses, we've had to close our lobby, we've had to open it back up, and then quarantine after quarantine, but no more than any other utility, and our whole team has done an excellent job throughout this whole thing. And we still went out and we got lights on, and we helped other co-ops when they needed help. Talk about a few things that we implemented. We had started this last year, is where you could pay your light bill at Dollar General, Family Dollar, CVS. It's called Checkout, PayGo, for our cash paying customers, which is a convenience. Our online payments skyrocketed during this pandemic. Like I said, our lobby's been back open for, I guess, like March, or maybe even before that, and so we're still taking payments there too. But we average about 3,500 payments a month online, electronically, and it's automatically posted to the account. And it's been enhanced. We're fixing to change this month. I think it's the 29th. The bill pay portal where you pay online will change. Nothing but the looks, but it'll have more features. We're trying to message that with the magazine, website, and all that, so people don't panic. If you open it up, you can walk yourself through it or give our office a call, and they'll help you. About 14% of our membership now use a bank draft, where it's automatically drafted every month. So that helps us not have to handle that payment, and it's posted. Like I said, there's 2 things that we really strive to do, and that's reliability with the service and affordability. Reliability, we work on that with our right-of-way crews. We have mechanical crews that go out and cut the right-of-way. We also have spraying crews. They go out and spray herbicide to keep it from coming back so quick, to stay out of the line. We perform line upgrades, substation upgrades. We have a continuing contractor that helps us do that here. They've been here a long time. We have, and we don't just guess where we need it. We locate, Mr. Junkin does this work plan for us. We have a 5-year work plan, so we know where we're going. We know where we got to do the work. And they also perform load studies and all just to keep the power reliable. Affordability, we have our wholesale provider is Alabama Power Company. We don't generate on our own. We have a real good negotiations with them. They have a diverse portfolio they're getting away from coal. I actually had a call yesterday evening where they put their plan in by 2028. They'll only have Plant Miller, one plant that's still coal. Everything else will be converted by then to natural gas. They have solar. They're acquiring some more solar, and we'll benefit from that. We've been fortunate that natural gas prices have been as low as they have. I'm sure that will change soon. Also, we utilize Jackson Thornton. They do studies for us also. They do a model, a quarterly model as to where we're lacking, so we don't get surprised at the end of the year. The cost of service studies, they do that to make sure that we're in line with what we're charging or predict how much we should be charging. And like I said, just in here a month or so ago, we retired and dispersed over $327,000 in capital credit retirements to our membership from our margins that were left over. We still, as you can see, we're the largest territory-wise co-op of the 22 in the state. We operate with 5 district offices. There's one in Utah, one in Greensboro, one in Butler, one in Linden, and our office here in Demopolis. At the present time, we have 64 employees. We have 6,842 miles of line, but we only average 3.9 customers per mile. That is also the lowest number of meters per mile of any other co-op in the state. What we're working on right now is our outage management system and our mapping system and inspection system with David's Resource Group. That's our big project right there. Once we complete that, we will have staking software for our engineers and our field personnel. And we'll also have an outage map that we're working to, and eventually it will be on our website. Economic community development, like I said, COVID has really affected that. We used to go out to the schools. I think we've done one school project this year outside. We used to go to some of the fire departments and get involved with training and all, and it's really slowed down. Scholarships, we're still doing those. We're giving $500 scholarship to 10 high school seniors whose parents are members of Black Warrior. That's done through the foundation at our statewide organization at AREA. They have their own independent board. The applications we furnish, they send them to Montgomery and they make the choices there. We're still involved with Project Share through our Sharing Success program with CoBank. And we are working with several telecommunications companies with the implementation of broadband to the rural areas. We have a big project going on in Hale County now with Charter. We also have several other projects going on with some of the other broadband providers. Like I said, that's pretty much the Cliff Notes version of this year's report. Again, I want to thank all of our employees, ladies in the back, our guys here, thank my board and all my consultants. And with that, let's see who's up next. I'll turn it over to Mr. Jones.
Hey, good morning. Good to be here today. We very much appreciate the opportunity to be here at Black Warrior. We always do. Today we're going to do a little bit of comparison the way we normally do. We're going to show how you compare with some of your competitors, some of the other people around the state, and even the country. We'll begin by looking at the rates, see how you compare with your retail rates like we normally do, and then we'll talk about a few other key areas how you compare. We'll start off like normal. We'll start off looking at the residential. Black Warrior is primarily residential. You're in 2020. The comparisons that we're looking at today are based on calendar year 2020. So the average residential customer at Black Warrior used 1,130 kilowatt hours per month. So it obviously fluctuates month to month, higher in the winter and higher in the summer, lower in the spring and fall. But the average of that average customer used 1,130 kilowatt hours in calendar year 2020. So let's see what they paid for that. This is what we're all interested in. We did a comparison, same as we normally do. I keep saying we've compared to this Black Warrior is on the left. They purchased that power, that average customer purchased power for 11.24 cents per kilowatt hour. And what compared to is, what if that customer had been on a co-op who bought their power from TVA? That's the blue line. What if that customer had been on a system that bought their power from PowerSouth, who provides power wholesale in the southern part of the state? And lastly, what if that customer was connected directly to the Alabama Power Company system? So again, the Black Warrior was 11.24 cents. And just to give a little bit of reference there, that equates to $127 and change a month. To give a little reference there, but for comparison, we're going to do it in cents per kilowatt hour. So 11.24 cents, the TVA, if that customer was on the TVA system, 13.74 cents, 22% higher. If that customer was on the PowerSouth system, 13.57 cents, 21% higher. And if they were on Alabama Power Company directly, like in the city of Demopolis, for example, 13.62 cents, 21% higher. So Black Warrior remains very competitive in the residential area. Very competitive. Let's keep moving. I'm going to look at the commercial next. We started last year looking at not just the residential, but also looking at other categories like the small commercial. And the way we did this is we took a sampling of the customers in this category. We took a sampling of 19 members at Black Warrior, and we added all their kilowatt hours and all their charges up for each month. And then again for calendar year 2020 and 2020, and we made the same comparison. We just divided the total cost by the total kilowatt hours, and those costs came to 10.14 cents per kilowatt hour for Black Warrior. If those people were buying their power from the co-op who bought its power from TVA, they would pay 13.06 cents per kilowatt hour, 29% higher. Likewise, on the Power South system, 11.92 cents, 18% higher. And on an Alabama Power Company system, on the Alabama Power Company system, 17.83 cents, 76% higher. So Black Warrior remains very competitive, not just in the residential, but also in the commercial. The small commercial. We looked at two more areas, one being the medium commercial. Just to give a frame of reference, the kilowatt hours, we already talked about 1,130 kilowatt hours per month on the residential. On the small commercial, that sampling, the average members used around 15,000 kilowatt hours per month, just to give you a little bit of a frame for reference there. And now we're looking at the medium, and this is a sampling of 16 members on Black Warrior, and they're in the category of around 71,000. This particular group averaged around 71,000 kilowatt hours per month. So we're talking about a large customer. These customers paid 9.41 cents per kilowatt hour on the Black Warrior system. If they had been on the TVA system, it's 11.8 cents, 25% higher. Power South, 11.43, 21% higher. If they were on Alabama Power Company, it's 12.76 cents per kilowatt hour, 36% higher. Very good comparison, even on the larger customers. All right, let's take a look at one last category comparison. We'll look at the farm rate. Farm rate's important to Black Warrior. So what we did here is we looked at a sampling size of 18 members. These members paid 9.96 cents per kilowatt hour on average to Black Warrior. On the TVA system, it would have been 13.66, 37% higher. On the Power South system, it's 12.33, 24% higher. On Alabama Power Company, it would have been 13.61 cents, 37% higher. So across the board, Black Warrior remains very competitive with all your rates. You have reason to be proud for that. Two more quick charts. Since we are here in November of 2021, we thought, well, we'll go ahead and show you year-to-date 2021. So we looked at the first quarter and just looked at residential only. And we only looked at the comparison between the Black Warrior system and the Alabama Power Company. But so far, the first quarter, that average customer using 1,130 kilowatt hours per month paid 11.29 cents per kilowatt hour. And just to remind you, a minute ago, that was $11.24 for 2020. Same customer will be 14.03 cents per kilowatt hour for Alabama Power Company, 24% higher. So the trend continues, even in 2021. Last chart, we'll just give you a kind of a synopsis. This just shows the trend, if you will, of residential. We're only looking at residential. We're looking at the bottom line here is Black Warrior. These are the numbers that we've been giving you every year for the last 5 years. And the top line is the Alabama Power Company. So the bottom line, you can see, went from 11.17 cents in 2017 on the Black Warrior system to 11.29 so far this year. So that's relatively flat. Okay, Black Warrior is not going up a lot on their rates. That's an average of 0.3% per year. Alabama Power Company, ranged from 13.13 up to a 14.03. Their last 5 years of growth, they've been averaging 2.5% per year. So they're not spreading out tremendously, but the direction is the right way that we would want it to go, put it that way. So from a rate perspective, Black Warrior is doing excellent, continues to do excellent. Talk a few minutes, just briefly, about some other comparisons that are interesting. The Cooperative Finance Corporation performs what they call a KRTA, a Key Ratio Trend Analysis, which is just a sophisticated way of saying it's a survey. There's about 1,000 cooperatives in the country, and they survey those cooperatives on the basis of 145 categories. And this year, for 2020, 815 cooperatives responded. So it's a pretty good sampling, a lot of good data, and a lot of good information for Black Warrior. As Mr. Jones, Manager Jones mentioned, you have the lowest rates per kilowatt hour in the state, again. You have the lowest revenue per member in the state, again. And you have the most miles of line per member in the state, again. So it's really amazing and continues to be so. Does the service suffer because of all the miles of line? It does not. The statistics show that Black Warrior is fifth lowest interruption duration index in the state. So by having the 5 districts and having offices set up at the 5 districts and having crews there and equipment there, you're able to respond. And it shows in the statistics. You're able to get the lights back on quicker. So how do you do that? 63 employees, that's below the state average in employees per member. And yet you have the 3rd highest overtime hours per total hours ratio. So it's like we've said before, this is a lot like last year. You do more with less. They're not afraid to work nights and weekends. They work nights and weekends. And that's what gets the lights back on, and that's what keeps the costs down. Then moving into some other areas, the manager and the staff work diligently to keep the costs down. We mentioned this last year. It's still the same this year. Lowest cost per mile building line in the state. Lowest cost in the state. I mean, that's a mouthful. I mean, that's awesome. Lowest expenses each year, in that year, 2020, lowest expenses per kilowatt hour sold in the state. To attribute to the board of directors, lowest wholesale power cost in the state. Lowest wholesale power cost in the state. So their partnership with Alabama Power Company in that regard is excellent. They've done a great job of negotiating, and it continues to pay dividends. 3rd lowest debt per member in the state. Low debt, low interest expense, keeps the expenses down, allows you to keep your rates at a reasonable level. So I realize this is a lot of almost repetition compared to last year, it feels like. But it is good news. And we all like getting good reports. Some of you heard it last year, some of you didn't. But good reports are always enjoyable to give and to receive. And in the country again in calendar year 2020. Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Woody Trimble with Jackson Thornton to give us the summary of our 2020 audit.
All right, thank you, Darrell. As Darrell mentioned earlier, we at Jackson Thornton performed the annual audit of Black Warrior EMC, and so the report I'm about to give you is based on the December 31st, 2020 audit, and I want to share our opinion with you, and it states, in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of Black Warrior EMC as of December 31st, 2020 and 2019, and the results of its operations and its cash flows for the years then ended in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the USA. That long sentence basically states you have a clean audit opinion on your financial statements, and that's what you would want your auditor to provide. And going over some of the financial highlights, again, as of December 31st, 2020, the total assets of Black Warrior were $78 million, and by far the largest investment in those assets is your electric plant. You had a gross investment of just under $122 million. Less $63 million of depreciation left a net plant balance of $58 million at December 31st, 2020. Total equities of Black Warrior were about $65 million, along with long-term debt of just over $3 million. Looking over at the income statement for December 31st, 2020, total operating revenue was $41 million. Operating expenses were $39.5 million, and non-operating margins were just over $1.4 million, which generated a net margin of $2.9 million as of December 31st, 2020. And Black Warrior retired $105,000 of capital credits during the calendar year 2020. So with that said, that's the financial highlights, and that concludes the audit report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trimble. We appreciate that. And now it's time for the report on the election and the results. If I can get Mr. Rich Compton to come and give that report.
Thank you, Darrell. In this year's election, there were a total of 2,664 ballots returned by mail and 2 cast here in person today, for a total of 2,666 ballots cast. In District 4, running unopposed, Clyde Fields received 2,454 votes. In District 5, running unopposed, William T. Kaiser III received 2,359 votes. And in District 6, also running unopposed, Ronnie Hall received 2,365 votes. Thank you.
The challenges of the pandemic have got it to where most members elect to do by mail, and the bylaws say that as to business, either unfinished business from last year or new business, that all members have the opportunity and are afforded the opportunity to know what's going to go on. So when the mail ballots mailed out and all the information is mailed out, we really have to deal with the issues known at the time, which was the election of the trustees. So there wasn't any unfinished business from last year, and there's been no new business posted to all the membership for this year, so we can hop over those 2 items. I guess the next thing would be to go to any questions from anybody. We typically will allow a 15-minute period for questions, and each person would have 3 minutes to address questions. And so if anybody has any questions, we'll be glad to try to address it. I guess I take it by that silence that y'all want me to shut up, and I will do it. Yeah, and the next thing will be, I think Chairman Barr will have a closing remark, and then Manager Jones will deal with probably what the members that are present, and I know the members that aren't present are more interested in, which will be the cash drawing. So I'll turn it over to Chairman Barr.
On behalf of the board, we want to thank our ladies, you gentlemen. I think we have the best crew in the co-op world. Darrell is a super manager, and much as I hate to admit it, we have a good attorney. So, no further ado, the meeting is adjourned.
All right. With that being said, we'll get down to the drawing for the cash prizes. If I could get a couple of guys to bring the drum out front, and then our auditors will bring in all the registration cards. Would any of our board members like to do the drawing this year? Okay. I want to remind everyone also that this is being videotaped and can be watched at any time on our website until next year. Our first $50 cash winner is Jerry Watkins, Greensboro, Alabama. Our next $50 winner is Sarah Allen from Newbern, Alabama. Okay. Now this will be for $100. Bessie Robinson, Utah, Alabama. Another $100 winner is Richard Hughes from Marion, Alabama. And by the way, employees and the board are not eligible for these prizes. A $200 winner goes to Ryan and Tiffany Crutchfield, Utah, Alabama. This is the final drawing, and it's for the $500 cash prize. Daryl Jones. It's Jenny and James Otwell, Marion, Alabama. That's all of them. Again, thank everybody for coming. Thank you everybody for helping. And thank all of y'all that's going to watch this on the website in the future. That's all. Thank you.